Hey guys, interesting episode today with Paz Bakery. A few things. One is we got introduced to Paz Bakery by Hattis and the folks at Ontario Made, and we're really thankful. So this is an Ontario product. Hattis Letterman is the communications manager at Ontario Made, and she and her team, introduced us and pointed us. And pointed us at Paz Bakery. So if you're curious, you can go to supportontario.made.ca, find more products. The other thing is Paz Bakery, Paloma and Andrew are going to be at CHFA this week. So a really great story that you'll be able to see and try and connect with while you're there. So thank you to Hattis and the team at Ontario Made. And then looking forward to meeting Paloma and Andrew for real at CHFA. And then hopefully we see you guys. Kenny and I will both be there at CHFA this week. All right. Thanks. Have a great week. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I am Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Vanucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
Yeah, the summer's busy, like good busy or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, it always comes down to being good, I guess.
Not having enough time for anything is always good.
Yeah, we operate under generally the same principles, so we're kind of having the same sort of summer, which is good. What else can you ask for, really?
Right?
If it's not going,
good. It's all good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I feel like they don't tell you before you become a business owner that you would have no life.
If they did that, who'd be in business?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You always think you're going to be the one that's going to change things.
Yeah.
You can change some things, but yeah, the game is sort of the game. You just, you go with it.
Yeah.
But I think the change bit comes after a while, because you realize like how many people, like for us, it's how many people listen to the podcast, and we have that problem because people tell us that all the time, and we still think it's just us talking to us. Do you know what I mean? So we never think about that ever.
No.
And I think for you guys, as you meet more people who eat your products, it's probably that moment that you kind of go, shit, we're in a lot of households, right? Like, so you are changing things. Like, I think
it's true.
but it's hard to see, I think, when you're sweating it out, when you're watching your friends have barbecues and you're kind of like, I don't have time for that. Like, why are you barbecuing? Why aren't you doing something more?
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite one is, you'll have friends that do more or less, let's say, 8 till 4, 9 till 5. And they'll look at you, oh, I'm so tired. Work is just cleaning. You're thinking, you work 40 hours a week. It's a fucking holiday. It's a paid holiday. I work 40 hours. It's only Tuesday.
Yeah.
We when we were away, Kenny, we actually never planned it. Actually, I was thinking about this, Kenny, but Kenny and I wind up taking vacation about the same time every year. And every year it changes, but somehow we stay in sync somehow. So this year he was in Germany for a couple of weeks following Euro Cup. And the family and I went to Portugal for 10 days. And in there was some work that we had to do on the podcast. And the person we were working with was like, oh, I'm so sorry I'm bothering you on holidays. And all we kept talking about was, hey, this is kind of cool because we're in Europe. So we're actually ahead of schedule, right? So I can actually work, before you guys wake up, and then I can go play and it's still okay. They're like, we're so sorry. And like, I am an entrepreneur. I work like, even when I'm on vacation, my brain is still going, right? Like all the time it's going, right? Like it's
But that's kind of sweet that you can do this from everywhere.
That's
from
right.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can't make
No.
cheese cuts from Portugal.
Oh, I wish.
I mean, maybe.
But you could, but you couldn't do it from here, from Portugal.
Well, listen, if you do it from Portugal, I'll just have to come over and get them from you, bring them back.
We could definitely do that too.
Be such a terrible thing, maybe. But
Yeah.
you guys are like, no.
Yeah, that is not the worst option.
Like,
I mean,
If you guys want to make the move, just let us know.
I know Brazil had a little bit of they were making it easier, or Portugal was making it easier for Brazilians to move to Portugal. I don't know if that's still going, but I make you Brazilian now.
I think it is a thing, because I've been seeing some of those. I guess because I was over there, and so I've been seeing the if you buy property and things like that, citizenship is a lot easier. So there's some.
They're all in Europe. They're all getting mad at foreigners and tourists. So really, who the hell knows in Europe right now?
Yeah,
I think they've had enough of both.
Yeah. For the audience, we've got Paloma and Andrew on. They are the wonderful people behind Paz Bakery, and we're excited to get you guys on. So we're really excited to have you guys on. The way we kind of do this is we'd love it if you guys told us about the two of you, how Paz came to be, and then we'll just kind of work our way through it. We'll definitely have some questions for you, but you start wherever you want to start. Like the story, I think your story is very cool, and so we'd love to just hear it, and
and we'll push you around and whatever as it comes up. But typically, we do like to know a little bit about where you started, like how you got here. So don't worry about if you start 10 years before the business or if you start right at business day, whatever you want. It's your podcast for the next 45. So whatever you want.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll start by saying a bit about myself and my background and how we kind of came together. So I went to university back in 2007, went to University of Guelph and started studying earth science and classical languages. I was thinking one day I might become an archaeologist, but then I found out that costs a lot of money to get into, and I sort of changed my mind and just wanted to get my bachelor's degree and get out and see what the world kind of had in store. Probably, I guess it was within just 2 or 3 months of getting out of university, I was applying to get back into college. And this is where I was stepping into the wine world and coming back to the Niagara region as opposed to staying in Guelph. And I worked, or I guess I went to school and learned about wine for about 8 months or so, and thought it's pretty good. I wanted to get into working for like a winery, and I did that for a little while. Worked my way up, became an assistant winemaker at a great local winery called Flat Rock Cellars, and worked there for almost a year's time before I moved on to a brewery called Sean and Ed Brewing Company in Dundas. There was an affiliation there, so making the move just seemed like a natural progression for me to move into a field that I was interested in at the time. I'm still interested in beer. It's a big part of my life, as I still also work at a brewery. But at the time, it was sort of a new domain. After working there, which I said it was in Dundas, so closer to Hamilton, which is still a big commute from Niagara some days. I wanted to get closer to home, come back to Niagara Falls, and I ended up working at the Exchange Brewery in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And this happened to be about 2 blocks down from where Paloma worked at the time. So maybe I'll pass it over to her to tell a bit about her background.
Right. So I am Brazilian. I've been here for how long?
Oh, about 8 years.
I never know. I always say like 7 years, and then he's like, no, it's been like 9. And I'm like, so I don't know how long it's been truly. A while. Yeah. I lived in Italy for 10 years before I moved here. I worked in fashion. I went to fashion design school in Italy, and I lived there for a long time. But then when I moved back to Brazil, I kind of didn't find myself, and I was just cooking a lot. And when the opportunity came to move to Canada, I just grabbed it and for some reason I decided to do culinary in Canada after living in Italy. I know that doesn't sound very logical, but yeah. And so after I did culinary school, I worked at a restaurant, like a fancy restaurant, and then I started working at a pizzeria because the owner was Italian. I spoke Italian, and so we're VPN, which is Verace Pizza Napoletana. It's like the traditional Neapolitan style pizza. And I had really long breaks because I would open the restaurant and I would close the restaurant. So I would be there at 10 and I would leave at 10. So I had like my lunch breaks were very long. I had like 2-hour long lunch breaks, but it was like half an hour to come home. So I would go to the brewery to have my breaks. And I talked to my parents every single day on something like this. So I would just go to the brewery, get my phone or iPad or whatever, and just talk to my parents for 2 hours and eat. And I never really noticed Andrew.
But I noticed her. And then, yeah, I mean, as the story kind of goes, we just saw each other out one night at a bar, and I sent her a drink. She actually sent me one back, and
He didn't talk to me afterwards.
Yeah, it took a little bit more courage to talk to her after that, but we sort of hit it off, and I mean, we definitely hit it off. Back then, we didn't know this, but yeah. But yeah, one time I was just over at her place, and her mother had just recently visited and had a lot of the traditional Brazilian ingredients that you would use to make pão de queijo, which our cheese dots are based off of. And one day she whipped them up for me, and like she'll say, it was love at first bite, and she won my heart through my stomach, all that sort of stuff, all those cliches, they're absolutely true. What she had made for me was just something so delicious and different, yet familiar at the same time. I mean, it's sort of like a bread type product with cheese. So it's things that most people know, but it was just different. And I don't know, it changed my life for sure. Yeah, literally. So from there, I guess the journey of cheese dots was that we couldn't find anything like it. We couldn't get the real ingredients from Brazil. A big part of it is the traditional cheese that they use. And yeah, so when we wanted to make it ourselves, we were like, well, what's the right cheese? Is it cheddar? Is it Parmesan? Like these more, Canadianized cheeses or Canadian versions of cheese, they're not always the same as what you find down in Brazil.
And at the time, you couldn't find the product anywhere here either. Like, so there is a Brazilian brand that imports the product here. And at the time, they were maybe in like a couple of Brazilian or Portuguese stores, and you could only find them in Toronto. We're in Niagara. It was really, really hard to find that product here. Right. That's kind of why
we resorted to making it
ourselves. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you don't always want to make it yourself when you want something like that. That in Brazil is so ubiquitous. It's just like you do pull it out of your freezer, or like any restaurant you might go to, something like this is going to be on the menu. And apparently it's fairly ubiquitous across South America, just in different forms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Have any of you had pão de queijo before?
To be honest, no.
I'm not sure. I saw it, and I think I have, but I don't really know if I have.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, like in Canada, or like what we've seen around here is just it's advertised as Brazilian cheese bread. That's simply what it is.
I have had it. Yeah.
But I don't know if it's good. Clearly cheese bread. So that's
and it's funny, like in Vancouver, we just don't have, I mean, we are getting it, but we don't really have a large Central or South American population per se. Right? Most of our immigration has obviously been from Asia, Southeast Asia, and well, obviously Europeans, but for the most part, all the recent stuff. So we are starting to get a lot more, but like I only know of one Brazilian restaurant that I'm sure there's a few, but one, it's down the street from us practically, but that's it. So there's lots of Portuguese in town, but not necessarily a lot of people from South America. So I haven't had them. At least I don't think I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then every culture sort of has a bread and cheese sort of play, which is why it's so cool, right? Every time you add a spin to it, who's going to say no?
Yeah,
I mean, it's bread and cheese. Like, seriously, come on.
Yeah. So I think the very distinctly unique thing about this well, our product and also the traditional like recipe is that it's gluten-free. So if you think of like some European, like similar European dishes or products, they would probably not be gluten-free just because of
100% no.
Just like the area itself, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Tapioca or cassava root grew more readily throughout Brazil because of the arid climate, whereas Europe, wheat is pretty prevalent across those countries out there, like Ukraine and all that. So, I think just having a gluten-free product is very different.
So when you guys started this, so you're getting fed, so you like it. He's grown up on it, so really it's like shit. Anytime mom comes and leaves food, I mean, well, really, why not, right? That's what moms are great for. And so you always hang on to it. But did the two of you think that, again, because I don't know, I'm assuming in Niagara there's not a whole swack of South Americans kicking around Niagara. Just I don't know for sure, but I got a feeling it's probably not that different. So did you think that people are going to go, oh my God, thank God this is here? Or was it just you loved it so much?
I'm gonna say that right from the start, we did not target Brazilians or Latin Americans.
Okay.
We have never, and I don't know if it was a mistake or if it just, but we always thought, there's more Canadians in Canada than there are Latin Americans. So why should we target those? But we do have a Brazilian following. There are more Brazilians than I have ever thought.
Right.
There are definitely a lot of Latin Americans in general, and we do have a pretty decent following, but it's not our main.
Not your core.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, so I've had Brazilian cheese bread, but I don't. It's funny because I say this about everything now because I realize you get Canadianized versions of everything. So exactly. I have no idea if it's the real deal or not. I'm actually looking at where I can find your stuff now so I can go try it. But it is that. And then I do think like in Niagara, for example, the Canadian taste bud, at least we already do, things like cheddar scones and things like that. So this isn't a large leap. This is actually a better leap in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
So I can totally see someone going, okay, all right, this has got cheese. Yes, okay, let's do this, right? So I can see someone.
And I guess that's what I was asking because I'm trying to figure out sort of the stretch, like not for anything, but I don't know, and this could be just me, right? I don't know a lot of Brazilian foods per se. So if you said a bunch of Brazilian food names, I would just look and say, it's interesting. I would try everything. But doesn't, if I saw that in the store, I wouldn't know what the hell it is. I mean, in terms of the name, that's why I was asking, even in terms of marketing, your marketing is something that's very distinctly relevant and ubiquitous in those countries. And it's just trying to make the leap to say, does someone get it? And to Phil's point, like cheese and bread is cheese. There's so many things that are close.
I would not say no. I mean, cheese dots, I think, is a really great.
I think it's awesome. I love the gluten-free aspect of it too. And I'm not gluten. I have no gluten intolerance. Yeah. If anything, I eat way too much gluten. But
well, that's the same as us. Yeah.
But if it could be an option, it sure the hell ain't gonna hurt.
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons why we called it cheese dots, because we didn't want to call it pão de queijo, because that's no one knows
what that means. Right.
We didn't want to call it cheese bread, which is the actual translation, because it's not a bread. When you think of a cheese bread, you think of the one that you can buy at the grocery store. That's an actual loaf that's most likely baked in a pan.
Right.
You don't want to call it cheese bun because it's still not a bun. I mean, it is a bun, but.
And if you put Brazilian on it, then maybe a certain person wouldn't want to buy it when it's really for everyone. It's not just meant for Brazilians. Right. It's like pasta when you go buy it in the store. It doesn't say Italian pasta all the time, but it's just like it's pasta. So
when you guys started, you consciously thought of all this.
Yeah, we started right from the start. It was called cheese dots from the right beginning, and we thought about that. Yes, and I don't know if it made it harder for us or if it made it easier, because at the end of the day, we still have to explain what are cheese dots.
Right. I find it fascinating. I mean, I know I find it fascinating because it's, yeah, I mean, you could have gone, like, I think most would have probably gone down the side of what is called back home. And I think to your point, I don't know if that would have been necessarily the smartest move unless there's so many people from home up here and actually say, oh my God, you have that, as opposed to, you know, like people like me to walk in, I don't know, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
would
don't know
say
what that is. Like, what is it?
once we figured out like that we knew that this was a good thing to turn into a business, and that like friends and family liked them and they were like buying it on the down low and all this sort of stuff, we're like, this is real, let's get this going. And it took, I'd say, about a year and a half before we were kind of like full steam, like
into stores
and like getting legitimate, like more legitimate, I guess, and getting a nice looking packaging with the proper barcodes and all that jazz. Where was I going with that?
I have no idea.
Good. I love when I get
Good. It's all good. You'll pick it up in a second.
Wait, but let's pull on that, because I think that's interesting, because how everyone gets to market is unique as well, right? So you started making this for you guys, and then started testing it with friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So coworkers mainly, because, well, like, so I had a coworker that was had some Portuguese heritage, but she like kind of knew what it was, and so once she got a hold of it, she was like, "Oh, this is good," and told people about it. I had another coworker who was like, "Oh, I tried making these at home one time, and then tried ours, and was like, oh, yours are better." So we kind of knew, like, we had found the right cheese. I mean, I guess that's important part of the story that we didn't touch on, but Oka cheese was kind of like the big Canadian piece to this product that is like a perfect kind of mixture of our heritages. Like Oka is probably the oldest truly Canadian cheese,
right?
From 1893, I think it is. I mean, it's kind of like a Canadian version of a French cheese, well, originally back then. But yeah, it's still made and aged in like the same caves in Oka, Quebec. So it's like really rustic. It has a lot of like, I don't know, history to it, and you can kind of taste that history. And for me, that's what sort of pays homage to the true Brazilian pão de queijo, because that cheese is so distinct, and that's what makes it what it is. And I think this is what I was trying to get to earlier, is like, so we wanted to pay homage to the true product and not come out right out of the gates with you know, a bunch of different flavors, like, oh, you got to add the flavored cheese dots and the jalapeno cheddar cheese dots, all this stuff that, you know, sounds great to probably a hell of a lot of people, but for us it was about making a good product that just had this one like sort of original flavor, I guess, that was what we thought like the true flavor, or the best flavor we could get here in Canada.
And I don't think it was only just flavor. I really wanted to smell it out of the oven. It had to have, because when you're, so I took a trip to Minas Gerais, which is the original place that makes this product in Brazil. And I had like the most perfect pão de queijo I had ever had in my life. And I could smell it coming from the kitchen before I could even taste it. I knew that it was good. So when we first started to make this, I wanted something like that. I wanted that smell. I wanted that taste. And it wasn't like most people, when they're trying to make it at home, they're using, here specifically, cheddar, parm. And those are sharp flavors. They don't, and when they're baked, they kind of burn, and it's not exactly that. So we were very particular to choosing our cheese. And when we chose Oka, Oka had the flavor and the smell, but it also had the Canadian part that makes this kind of like our baby, you know. We don't have kids, we have cheese dots.
That's all good.
I would argue that cheese dots are arguably better than kids. My kids are all,
there are days, Phil, there are days.
Yeah.
There are days.
Agree, but yeah. So I have a question about this, because you kind of went down a road that I think would surprise me if I was following you guys, right? I think it makes sense now, but why not make these and sell these like a classic bakery? Like, were you a classic bakery? Like, so when you first started making these, was this a I make them, and then you come and you buy a dozen of these,
I have no idea.
throw them in a bag, or you're right, because the way you sell them now, they're frozen, right? Like, so you would buy them in a grocery, like a superstore, it looks like, right?
Yeah.
And then take them home and bake them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a good question. I guess just naturally we didn't go that route. We're very we're cautious people, I guess is the word I want to use, just because we're not big risk takers. The business started very slowly. We had like a very small initial investment, and we've just let the business kind of grow itself naturally without having to invest anymore. And so, like, it took us some time to get our feet wet. And then when the ball got rolling, it was like, well, we're just going to let it go where it may. And we both had to maintain jobs at the same time. So I think that's why it wasn't like, all right, we have a savings. Let's buy a little space. We'll open a bakery. We'll both put our jobs and do that and see what happens. We were like, no, I think this is a good thing. It might take some time to grow and build like awareness and kind of build our own identity. Yeah. But I think it's a good thing if we just take our time, it's going to grow into something.
And I think I also had working in a restaurant is a lot, and dealing with customers is a lot, and the time.
Yeah. You don't like dealing with customers? What are you talking about?
I love dealing with customers now, but in a restaurant, it's a very different
beast.
Very, very different beast. And I think I was so happy that I didn't have to deal with the immediate.
Right.
I don't know if it's a complaint, but just that immediate thing, because so also the place that I worked was an open kitchen. So I had that complete interaction with customers, and I think I didn't really want that anymore. He always wanted a bakery, but I think I was the one that said no,
or not yet.
It's a
not yet.
Yeah.
I'm trying to leave you an out there, and I'm just trying to give you a window there.
Yeah.
Not yet.
but like, in all honesty too, just like looking at like Niagara Falls, like we're pretty much downtown Niagara Falls. Like, we were living downtown Niagara Falls when we started the business and first got together. Now we've moved out a little bit, but there was a lot of bakeries around, and like some, they open up and they don't do too well, whether it was like their fault or not. They just didn't stick around.
It's a tough gig. It's a tough gig.
Yeah.
Anything with a front shop.
Ready to take that risk when we knew we had something good. It just, I think it needed time.
But nowadays, I think a little differently. I feel like I would love to have a house of dots. House of blues, house of dots.
Oh my God.
Something cool, right?
Amazing.
So when you guys start, is this, and I'll tell you why I'm going to ask it. So was this always a frozen product, or when you started, was it more, not shelf stable, but like, was it always frozen?
Yeah.
Or is this just to go to market? You need it frozen.
No, it's pretty much always frozen. Like in Brazil, where it's more widely available, yes, there are these bakeries and little food stalls you can go to and get it fresh all the time, for sure. But even when you get it at a grocery store, it's always frozen. And I think, like, the way we do it, I think, is very much how they always have done it too, just portioned as the raw dough. So it keeps better in the freezer and tastes fresher when you bake it at home.
Yeah, fair enough.
Once they are baked, depending on, the recipe, there's varying levels of like how well it keeps.
Right.
Usually like a few hours. If you're keeping it warm too, then it lasts longer. But if you just like bake some up and take the cookie sheet out and leave it on top of the oven, in about a half an hour time, they're going to be cold. They're going to taste fine. But maybe if you leave it for another hour, then they're not going to be as good as when you first took them out.
These don't sound like they're things that stick around for long anyway. So it's really probably not the issue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're using it right, and friends over.
They don't, even the ones that I've had at home, they don't, or in a bakery, they don't stick around. Like they're gone. Like gone as fast as I can get my hands on them. So
and I'll tell you why I asked that. The reason I asked that is that I find it funny. It's not YouTube, but it is YouTube. I find it funny that we're not really risk takers. We're kind of risk averse. So we're going to go make a food product that's going to be frozen, and we're going to distribute frozen products.
Yes,
I
that's
mean,
what I was going with it. I was trying to figure out why.
Refrigerated is bad enough. Frozen is a whole nother level of holy shit. The logistics suck.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I mean, honestly, if you had gone right to shelf, I'd say, okay, I think these guys may be a little risk adverse. Entrepreneurs aren't. But you walked right into the frozen set.
Yeah.
But we didn't know
not
that.
on purpose.
We didn't know that it was going to be like
The shit show that it is.
Yes, we didn't know that the grocery business is so difficult, that distribution is so difficult. We had no idea. We were just making a product because we loved it, because we wanted to share it, and because we wanted people to find it.
God
but
bless.
We didn't think that far ahead.
God bless.
It's also tough to see because nobody tells you those things.
Yeah.
No.
And it's almost like it didn't matter, because when we were really taking off, like 6 months later, COVID hit. And so it was like, okay, so everyone's kind of, everyone's figuring things out again.
Yeah,
so,
well, everybody's back at home cooking, so warming up.
Well, that's it. So.
I mean, what the hell, right? It's not that complicated. And if, easier for the stores to some degree to get product, the store maybe, the power wasn't the issue. It was we just couldn't get out of the damn house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very cool. Like, it's it is really interesting, because when we run into folks that willingly venture into frozen.
Well, like, cold chain is just it's so complicated.
I don't think that anyone walks willingly into frozen anything.
Yeah.
Unless they just don't know anything about it, like we did.
I think that's what it is. And I think that's why I was curious, because I thought, wow, that's a tough one, especially if you've never done it before and you're not too sure, because it is a whole different world of, I mean, anything in the shore has got finite space, but a wing stack, you can go from 2 feet to 6. In a freezer, you're restricted by walls and doors, right? And you got big guys beating the shit out of you for that space.
Yes, it's tough.
So how are you doing with it though? So what kind of distribution do you have? Because I know you guys are, I mean, we're sounding this doom and gloom, but you guys are doing okay. Like, you've got distribution, you're growing.
So
it's been tricky. Like we do our own distribution, and that is like logistically, I mean, I won't sugarcoat it. It's a nightmare, I guess. We've actually been pretty smart about it, I think. And we have sort of like a network of stores where it's like, if we're going east, we can hit these stores. If we're going west, we hit these stores. If we're going north, so on and so forth. And we just make our deliveries as efficient as possible. And that's really helped. But there's pretty much no one that will work with a company our size, being like pretty darn small still in the grand scheme of things, to do our distribution at a reasonable price. Or let's not even talk distribution yet, just like shipment. We were working with a very small company that we were told would do small scale, like regular frozen and refrigerated delivery. And we worked with them for a little while, and then they sort of kicked us to the curb and said, "You're not giving us enough business." And we were like, "But you're supposed to be doing this for the small guys. Like, that was the whole reason why we got hooked up with you."
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are, but you're not. Like one delivery a week is not enough for us to come to your house. It's like, or whatever, come to your residence, like off their main schedule or pathway. So that was very disheartening. But we're trying to work with other people. Like, we've kind of befriended some other companies that we've met at markets and expos that we do, and you kind of learn who else is in the same position and sort of start building networks.
But it's interesting
to start distribution,
because most of these people are in the same boat as we are. They're frozen. They are not big enough, and there's no one that does that for them.
No,
it's sad, difficult, and unless you go with an actual distributor, and then that's another complete train wreck of a subject. that we are not even starting. We haven't really talked about it yet because it is a train wreck of a discussion. So yeah, it ends up everyone does their own distribution. That is frozen and small.
What'd you do? You bought a small truck with a freezer capability, or you've got coolers in the back and away you go?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Just tons of coolers.
Jesus Christ!
Wow.
We're working to get a reefer van.
Yeah, we're picky about that too. We want to find the right vehicle for the right price, but it'll be a game changer, and we're hoping to have that locked down by the end of the summer.
I guess what you'll probably learn with that is that you start doing that and you're thinking, shit, okay, I got to pay for the stupid reefer now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where were those guys down the street that had that frozen? They couldn't find anybody. If you're going to the same stores, all of a sudden you might start doing, you know what I mean? Like you're thinking, got a truck anyway, may as well fill it.
Yeah.
You're going to the same locations. I mean, at least you get someone else to sort of help pay for the truck, right? Because
for sure. It's not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what else do you do with it? It's tough. I mean, because to your point, I mean, and again, I don't know how you guys did this, but most people who go from like home kitchens to fairs and selling to family, etc., typically don't see that far down the road. So even the margin structure, the costing structure doesn't necessarily lend to much of anything outside of direct selling to your family and friends, because when a retailer comes in, they're going to want 40 or 50. If you get a distributor, especially when you're talking frozen, it's another 30 to 40. There's a lot of, as there's a lot of people in your pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at. It's like we're barely in our own pockets, so we want to keep everyone else out.
Well, I guess exactly, right?
Yeah. And it's been a struggle for sure, but I mean, I don't know. We're seeing it. It's slow but very steady, consistent growth.
That's all you want, then. That's fantastic. It doesn't have to be like a rocket ship, but as long as you're growing steadily and continually, all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be on the right trajectory, and so we're just taking it kind of one day at a time and all that. And
you're definitely in some pretty cool places. I mean, you're in Superstore, which
are these local programs like within sort of
yeah.
Right, which is kind of nice because big guys don't. I mean, they all say they're going to do local, and then some just it's a more talk than anything else. But I know Sobeys is typically pretty good at helping with local. Loblaws can be. I mean,
we're generally like, so the two of us. Nobody's ever guilty by this association, but the two of us are generally unkind to Loblaws. But I think they're local.
We're unkind to most of the big people.
Yeah, but the local program, it has helped a lot of small brands, and I think that's
as long as they do it, as long as you get a good manager in the area that actually believes it and understands that you guys have something pretty cool here, and you should support the neighborhood and the city and the area. Why not?
Yeah, it was a very interesting thing for us. We were actually on vacation when we got this email from someone who is, I guess, sort of a regional buyer for the Superstore, and we read the email, but then we didn't answer because we had our out of office thing, and then we're like, we got some time, and we got some samples to this person, and she said, you know what, it's really great. Basically, you can be in all the Superstores in Ontario. Just tell me when you're going to go to deliver to what stores and what your minimums are and all this stuff. Just go. And we're like, what?
Wow.
That's so crazy. Being given, I think there's 35 Real Canadian Superstores within Ontario.
Yeah.
4 of which are totally out in the middle of nowhere. We reigned for 30 stores. It was just crazy. And then being able to set your minimum order, so what you want to sell each store, it was scary, but it was also amazing.
That's pretty amzing. What's shelf life on your product?
A year. I mean, that's not a year, but it honestly goes for longer than that. But we guarantee it for a year.
Yeah, but a year is more than enough. I mean, a year, you don't want anything in the freezer that long if you can help it anyway. So, even if you get 6, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, which you're that's phenomenal. So how many Superstores did you end up getting into? Obviously, hopefully the ones close to home.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for us, like the big close area was the GTA, and there's like so many of those around there. So it took us the good portion of last year to actually get out to all of them, but I think we did about 31, 32 stores. So pretty much all
you're
of
in those now?
So not exactly, but almost all of them.
Yeah, 'cause-
there are some that have said like this is
Sure.
not good enough.
Yeah, not
So
all
they
of
don't
them
reorder?
worked, right?
No, I get, but how are you? So you're shipping direct to store, like not on your own. Like now, I'm assuming you're going to
Yes.
use something.
We
ship
deliver-
You're
direct.
driving into TO.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so you're
nothing.
looking at the entire staff of Paz Bakery.
Okay.
Well, Mamma Mia, like but now we're in. And I'm not from Ontario.
Okay, so
But I
I'm
know
on
Niagara,
the
it's
map,
long,
like
long
because I live in
way.
Mississauga, right? So I'm already looking for like
That's
this
a
happens
hike.
to me a lot. Is when we talk to brands, I want to go find it because now I want to try it. But there are a lot of dots on this map, guys. Like
Seriously.
from one GTA person to two
Not
people
in
who
the
live outside of the
We just
GTA.
went to Sarnia this morning.
Yeah,
That's not close, though, is
so
it?
6 to 7 hours on the road this morning.
Yesterday he was in Midland.
Yeah, which is past like Barrie, like up that way.
But that's like that's going way more north now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how can you do this on your own?
No, that Kenny, this map
Oh,
is
we just do.
Well,
yeah,
we're
like Kenny, go to
You're
the,
not
go to-
home then. You're on the road
Kenny,
all
go to
the
the
time.
map and look at the map. Like if you just pull up the map, it's like, oh,
You know what?
But that's-
Even me, Phil, who doesn't know, I know Niagara is not the next suburb outside of the Toronto area.
no, it
Even
isn't.
I know that one.
No.
That's a hike
wow, you guys
on your own. That's nuts.
That
Holy
is
shit.
amazing.
Oh yeah, and also we don't have a co-packer either, so we also manufacture the product.
Oh,
FYI.
you guys are nuts.
I guess we're not very normal, no.
So go back to the no risk thing. Are you guys crazy? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I love you guys so much.
Holy shit.
I'm gonna go buy a whole whack of this product now. Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what I was saying about the low risk. I guess I think it's just with money. That's the only thing. We didn't want to put a lot of our own money into the business in the
Yeah.
beginning. I don't know why, because it seems silly. Like
It's just cash, right? Time is funny. Like you're in a car and you'll justify, well, I'm doing this, I'm listening to this. You'll do all that. Time is worth money too, right?
Oh,
But, I mean, if you're good with it.
if I'm in the car, I have the computer and I'm working in the car while he.
I don't think he is. So
Well,
No.
he is. He's driving delivery, so yes, he is.
holy Christ, that's
It's
wow.
crazy. If I need to deliver frozen product 3 hours away from where I am, it's going to cost me so much to get UPS or FedEx or whoever, just to ship a normal product or anything would be, and then I gotta make sure it's cold along the way. All these things, and
Well, someone doesn't leave it out. Receiving takes it, puts it on the desk. 3
Yeah.
days later, oh, this is supposed to be frozen.
yeah, so there's a whole bunch of unknowns with that. At least I know if I get into the hands of like the store owner. With the superstores, that's a different thing. With the receivers, who I'm starting to like recognize now, it's kind of funny. It's something I never thought I would, people I wouldn't regularly get to know. But
Dude, you guys are crazy, man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Thanks.
and also because we're so busy, time just flies by, so you don't have enough time to think about how crazy you are, and you
Well,
just keep
guess not, because once you start thinking it crazy, you got to start baking.
yeah.
That's no time.
Yeah.
And where are you baking this? So you have, are you leasing a facility or are in a ghost kitchen, or do you have a little space that's just you?
Yeah, so that's another thing we can it's good to talk about and maybe even promote. So yeah, we lease a kitchen in St. Catharines, and it's primarily just for us, but we've also sort of started another business called the Cozy Gluten-Free Culinary Hub. So when we're not using the space, we've opened it up to other small gluten-free businesses to rent and hopefully grow the same way that we have in that same space. Because although we just took over the lease last November, we have been working out of that same space, renting off of someone else for like almost at least 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Probably 5
fantastic.
years.
That's fantastic. So, and this obviously has freezer capacity and capability. So this is where, you know what? So you got to reword that. Gluten-free people baking who are in the frozen game. Remember, we got to fill the truck, right? We got to buy the truck, and then we got to fill the truck that we bought.
Yeah.
Frozen peeps. That's who you want.
Yeah, because that's not hard to find at all.
Holy shit, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
That's about it. Wow.
What we're still kind of on the podcast, but when we're done the podcast, maybe send me the link to your cozy, and then I'll make sure it's in the podcast notes.
I think you need to. Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking about it because we do have because we have really close ties to like the Canadian Health Food Association and folks like that, and so there are quite a few gluten-free people, like gluten-free friends that we know. So that's like gluten-free friends. If you're listening to this,
seriously, guys,
you want to talk to these guys, right? Because they are doing some
gluten-free frozen. Gluten-free frozen.
Yeah, sorry, gluten-free and frozen.
Well, gluten-free okay, but frozen even more better.
Yeah, the idea with the cozy, and the cozy is just a short for cozinha, which is kitchen in Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the kitchen. It started because it was never gluten-free, and for us it was really hard to make sure that our product was gluten-free. So we would come into the kitchen and I would clean before we start anything. So when we took over the lease, we really wanted to make it gluten-free. So we cleaned up everything, and we were like, okay, so we have this gluten-free space, and it was really hard for us to start. Why not have not only the space, but also help with questions and like, how do you start? What kind of packaging? What kind of boxes? Where do you buy this? Where do you buy that? So we're very open to helping other businesses as well to start and or grow if they have already started, you know.
I think this is awesome, guys. Like now you got me, and now I'm opening the map, and I'm thinking like geez Louise,
I really appreciate, because I'm a driver. I'm a driver by heart, right? So last summer Kenny came and we actually went to the fancy food. We
drove to New York
and we drove down, right? And to me, that's like it's a nice ride, right? Throw on a couple of good podcasts. We recorded in the car. There's some fun stuff we can do. And you kind of like, what's the big deal, right? It's 8-9 hours, we're there. No big deal, right? But I'm looking at you guys going, holy crap. Like that's one trip, right? Like you guys are
you're driving all the way down to Windsor. Like you guys are like, I just looked at the map.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were nuts a minute ago. I think you guys are completely off the wall.
Yeah, we've got some good fans out of Windsor.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
I wish they were closer, but that's
Windsor
okay.
sells really well.
Wow. You know what, guys? Honestly, impressive.
Yeah.
Thanks. I have to say that a lot of times we're so into this that we don't even think that it's impressive anymore. We're just like, okay, how can we get more stores? Can we get some more restaurants? What else can we do?
Yeah, I think our focus should be restaurants within 10 miles of home. That's the new focus.
Yeah.
And buy a reefer, but have everybody else pay for it. That's the kid.
Yeah. The number of wineries and breweries near you.
Look, come on, cheese dots and wine? Are you kidding me?
Cheese dots and wine seems like
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know if it's a shout out, but so Chateau de Charmes winery here in Niagara on the lake, they regularly order our product, and I think they use it as a bit of like a tasting or a amuse-bouche, like a little wine pairing passport they do. And from the orders we've been getting, it's been going very well. So yeah, a lot of
good to them
are trying cheese dots with their wine.
Well, listen, and if they're listening, Princess of Wales folks, like get on it. There's like 7 or 8 hotels over there that you'd be amusing a lot of bouches if you had this. So
yeah, I think it's good.
We're actually working on a little demo day specifically for restaurants. That's happening next month, where we're gonna showcase because what people don't really think about is that cheese dots are not just the bun. The dough itself can be so much more.
Right.
Like honestly, we did the photo shoot yesterday.
Yeah.
Because we have had a chef create some recipes for us, and I was like, I've been eating this product since I was 3, and I have never seen anyone make something like this before. So it's really cool to see the endless possibilities that Cheese Dots has.
I love it. I love the food service angle too. Like, you know, you put 15 or 30 balls kind of rolled up individually into a large bag. You don't have to do all the bullshit branding and UPCs, you know, and away you go.
It's a harder to get into though, eh? Like, I don't know.
It can be. It can be. If you hit the independents, especially the ones who get it, you can do some really good business. The only challenge you have sometimes is like you get the Cisco's and the GFS's in the way where they'll only want to do that. Then you got to go to them. And, you know, again, depending on how much margin you've built into your structure, it becomes a little more complicated. But you know what? You can talk restaurant. You've been in it. You know the lingo. You just need a few just really solid independents or someone who's maybe got 4 or 5 locations spread out over, well, for you guys, mileage doesn't matter. It could be 400 miles, apparently. It doesn't. There's no max limit in your guys' planet. So really it could be, anybody in Ontario, really doesn't matter. They're probably going to do it. Thunder Bay might be the stretch. I don't know. Maybe not.
Like if you're a restaurant, you got to think this, like, this is like, you know, 2-bite frozen cheese buns, 10 units for the retail price of $12, right? So all of a sudden, if you're a restaurant, to throw a handful of these on a plate, like you're talking 4 or 5 on a plate, and then you could retail this for the same $9.99 if you wanted to keep it really like under, you know, as an appetizer. It'd be
one of our restaurants deep fries them, and
why not?
Oh my god!
Calls them cheese bombs because the cheese explodes.
Wait, sorry, who does that?
You're
not that far away from me. Like I can be there in 90 minutes or less, right? So like,
it's a pub called Iggy's Pub. It's in Font Hill, and they they call it cheese bombs, and they serve it with marinara sauce. So you kind of like just dip it in marinara. It kind of tastes like pizza, like deep fried.
It's even on their own with a beer, though. Like, seriously, deep fry them, salt them a little bit because, you know, it's a bar. Get a pint and shit, you're ready to go.
That's right.
Yeah,
you charge whatever you want.
I mean, I wish the sale was that as easy as it has been to sell to you guys, but it's not.
It never is, but I think sometimes it's really all about the angle and what you're going in with. Like if you think it from a restaurant standpoint, biggest challenge in restaurants, no matter where you are, we just were in Europe, it's the same everywhere. Staff is a big problem. Hard to get staff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just serving staff. When you get into the kitchen, whether it's line cooks or whatever, it's even more complicated. So anytime you can go in and basically say, listen, all you need to do, open bag, take 5 out, whether you bake them, broil them, fry them, I don't give a shit what you do with them. It's pretty much anybody in the kitchen can do, and the prep time is 0. Do you know what I mean? So from a restaurant standpoint, all of a sudden, even if I was paying $1.50 per ball, I don't care what the number is, I can go $4.50, $4.99 on an appy, 3 for $10, because there was no labor. The only labor was literally pick up, put somewhere, deliver. Nobody had to prep it. Nobody had to knead it. Nobody had to, you know, all the bullshit ingredients. And honestly, right now, that's how you sell restaurants, because there's just no bodies.
And there's no waste too, right? You deep fry, bake or whatever.
As you need, fry them up, bake them up. How long do they take to bake?
So they take 20 to 25 minutes in a normal oven. In a convection oven is a little less. And you can always part bake them, but you can freeze them and then just flash heat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like 7 minutes.
But like you even said, even if you made a couple extra and you put them on the tray, sort of in its heated air because you don't want to dry the hell out of them. But you know what I mean? Like they're going to move fast. I could definitely see in a bar setting. I mean, how hard is it to get a convection oven? Do you know? See, most microwaves have convection, and most bars will. You know what I mean? Like it's really, it's such an easy add-on, especially beer. Shit, 3 for $10 and a pint of beer for another 6 or 7. Like
you know what we're doing, Kenny? When you get here,
we're going down to Niagara Falls.
We're going to Iggy's.
Yeah, that's fine.
Are you guys going to this cafe in Toronto?
Yeah.
We'll be there.
Okay. Oh, but
We'll definitely come by because I want to.
But we want the deep fried one too.
I want to try them all, man. Yeah, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't even said anything about the waffles.
I saw those, and I was going to ask you because I try not to go to the web pages while we're doing this. Phil can do it because he doesn't. Like, I get distracted, so I wander.
No,
but I did see
focused.
the waffles. I thought, I really like the waffles.
The waffles are interesting too.
Yeah, I mean,
please talk about it because it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I guess it's kind of a little bit about our like the path we've taken and with marketing and all that jazz, because we thought the cheese dots, or we found the cheese dots were a bit of a mouthful to describe to people that didn't recognize it, didn't know what it was, or like, I don't know. Like when you do eat them, they're different. And when you look inside them, they're different. They have this like cheesy, gooey texture, which sounds delicious to most people, I think. But to some people, it's like, I don't like cheese, so get me away from there. But anyway, we wanted to kind of get this unfamiliar product into people's mouths with a familiar shape or image. So the waffles just made sense. You know, I would say most people know what a waffle is when they see it. And a cheese waffle just sounds like two of my favorite things put together. So
that's right.
It just made perfect sense. It was something we tried on a whim, and it just like worked out amazingly.
Yeah.
And
I'm looking at the sandwich, the pulled pork. Like seriously.
Oh my God, there's so many.
In a bar. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, eggs Benedict on that is delicious.
Like, I bet.
What? Who cares about eggs Benedict? You like fried a nice buttermilk fried chicken on top of that?
Yeah. Well, I was going chicken and waffles too.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, and there's cheese. Like seriously, you know what you guys can?
Eggs would be just fine on it, right?
Well, you could do eggs and the chicken and the waffle.
That's what Counterpart did, right? Chicken and eggs.
Yeah. We had.
I mean, you can do steak and eggs, chicken and eggs, especially if it's more like a schnitzel kind of thing, like. Yeah, you got a whole shit. Oh my, seriously, you guys like food service to me is like just, wow.
That was supposed to be our focus last year, and then the superstore came along, so we kind of shifted focus.
Right.
And it was supposed to be this year, but I don't know what's going on this year. It's just, I don't know.
We shifted focus again.
Yeah.
To what? I don't know.
Look, there's only two of you, right? So when momentum comes, you gotta
just run with it,
right? So there are lots of moments. We build lots of strategy, right? And then you kind of like, oh crap, no, like that's the momentum is that way, right? So as long as it's not like totally counter to where you want to go, then because for you it's growth right now, right? So you're gonna get it where you get it, right? So.
I'm sort of Phil too. Like, I think, I mean, again, everybody wants to be all buttoned down and, we will tell people that really, if you put a consultative hat on, get organized and do that. But quite frankly, if you watch how we do things, we're very, very similar. It's a little bit of shiny objects sometimes, but not off topic, within topic, but a different angle. And sometimes I think you got to do that, because otherwise, I don't know, the fun can go away too, right? And you want this to be fun, as obviously as well. You want to make some money, but you want to enjoy this.
Yeah, and I think we still do.
Yeah.
It sounds like you do, and I don't think you should. I mean, you got a really cool thing going. It's, I don't know. I mean, I think it's actually, I think this is pretty slick.
Yeah, I would say, like, there's good days and there's bad days, but we've been doing more and more of these gluten-free expos. So they're like every business that's in there that's sampling and selling, it's entirely gluten-free. And when I'm going at one of those shows, it's just the best, because you're actually meeting the people that, like, they sort of need to eat your product because they're celiac or gluten intolerant. It's like they keep telling me how there's nothing out there that they can really eat, or how this is like the most amazing thing that they can eat. And that like really gets us fired up, and it really fires us to keep going. And so that's like, I love going out and having these long days on the road, but making like some really great sales. But sometimes when you're in one of those markets, meeting the actual people that are eating the product, and they're like, maybe they're buying a lot, or, it's like, oh my God, I have these in my freezer right now. Like, getting those real reactions, it's the best, I think.
Very cool, guys. Seriously, very cool.
Sorry, last question, and then if you don't want to answer, like I'll cut it out of the podcast or whatever. But have you guys thought about Launchpad, like at CHFA?
I literally applied, like hit the button apply before I hit call to you guys.
Yes.
Good.
So yes.
So audience, these guys.
Yeah, this is cool, man.
Launchpad. Well, I didn't know if they're going to be in. Lindsay, if you're listening to this, these guys are going to be
scared.
Don't be scared. You guys have a great product. You'd stand to make a really good.
I think you know what? I think that's you use this one as if you can. It's exposure, right? People go. There's a lot of retailers in the audience. If you do make the top 8, and everybody's looking for something cool, right? And people are trying to do more local. I know the big guys can be a pain in the ass because they'll say it, but they don't do it. But little guys for sure are always willing to help out locals.
Yeah, and I think we found that too, like putting the Ontario made on our logo. I think on our packaging really made a big difference because, like, our packaging says Brazilian inspired, and cheese dots are like, what the heck are that? Who's that? So I think the Ontario made kind of made sense for people to see that this was local.
Yeah, and
it did make a big difference for us. I find since we put that on.
Yeah. Anyway, nice job, guys. Nice job.
No, this is really awesome.
Nice job.
Really, really awesome. Nice job. And then I'm in Mississauga, so there's like 2 super centers near me, and then actually a bunch of indies, which I really love. So I'm kind of excited.
Indies are we really like the smaller retailers because of the relationship, and like, you get to talk to the owner, or well,
they'll give you the real goods too. They'll tell you if you're too high, too low.
You're at the Little B. I can go to the Little B. I know those guys.
Yeah, that's awesome, guys.
She's great. The Little B. She's a good person.
Yeah,
and a good connection to have.
Awesome.
Thank you for doing this. This is amazing.
Thanks for coming on.
Before you go, so if people want to find you and they want to be able to figure out where they can get the product from, where are the best places, like online, they can go to find you, talk to you? Don't give us phone numbers. We won't post those.
No, we don't even put our phone numbers in our business card.
Excellent.
I think Instagram is probably the easiest and fastest. So we're at Paz Bakery. That's PAZ Bakery. Okay. LinkedIn, more for me. And our website.
To find the stores.
Yeah. PazBakery.ca/stores.
Okay. Very cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys, for doing this. Appreciate it.
Keep driving safe.
Yeah, careful on the roads.
Yeah, please drive safely. And then thank you for the tips. I will be going. Maybe I won't wait for Kenny to go for deep fry.
Well, when I come down, we'll just have to get some. We'll make them that night.
Yeah, it'll just be too late for you because I think I'm going to go. I don't think I can wait that long for.
Oh, I don't think I wouldn't. If it was me, I wouldn't wait for you. So I totally get it.
I'll just talk somebody into taking them on a Niagara tour, so I can go. But that'll be amazing. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Yeah. See you guys at CHFA.
We'll see you there for sure.
Awesome.
Right. Have a nice evening, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Where did Phil go? All right.